Welcome to a captivating journey through history, health, and humanity's most unrelenting adversary, the mosquito. Timothy C. Winegard's The Mosquito, A Human History of Our Deadliest Predator is a masterpiece that weaves together the complex, often shocking influence that a tiny insect has had on the course of human history. More than just a pest, the mosquito has shaped empires, altered the outcomes of wars, and directed the path of civilizations. In this summary, we'll explore the key takeaways from the book, breaking down its major themes and concepts while providing insights into how understanding this unassuming creature can help us better grasp our shared history and future. Core Concept 1: The Mosquito as History's True Power Player. Let's start with the book's central premise. The mosquito is not just a nuisance, but a historical force that has altered the destiny of humanity. Winegard paints a vivid picture of how the mosquito, through the diseases it carries, primarily malaria and yellow fever, has determined the fates of empires, armies, and nations. This tiny insect, measuring mere millimeters, has been a silent but deadly force in human history, responsible for over half of all human deaths. Winegard recounts stories of how entire armies were decimated not by their enemies but by mosquito-borne diseases. The book demonstrates that wars, conquests, and even colonization efforts were often shaped by the mosquito. Take, for example, the Roman Empire. While we often focus on military defeats or political corruption as the reasons for Rome's fall, Winegard shows how repeated outbreaks of malaria significantly weakened the empire, creating vulnerabilities that led to its eventual decline. This same narrative is true of Alexander the Great's forces, the Crusaders, and European explorers like Christopher Columbus. For instance, the author recounts the devastation wrought by malaria and yellow fever in the Americas, which decimated indigenous populations and enslaved Africans, thereby shaping the European colonization of the New World. The mosquito didn't just play a minor role in these events, it actively guided them, making this tiny insect one of the most powerful players in the history of human civilization. Core Concept 2: Disease as a Weapon of War. As we move deeper into the book, Winegard shifts focus to how the mosquito has been an unintentional weapon of war. Throughout history, armies were often more vulnerable to mosquito-borne diseases than to actual battle wounds. Winegard cites Napoleon's expedition to the Caribbean in 1802, where yellow fever decimated his army and ultimately led to France's decision to sell the Louisiana Territory to the United States. The mosquito, in essence, indirectly shaped the expansion of the U.S. and influenced the future trajectory of the American nation. Mosquito-borne diseases played pivotal roles in the American Civil War and the Spanish-American War, with soldiers from both sides falling prey to malaria and yellow fever. The diseases undermined combat effectiveness, delayed campaigns, and caused higher mortality rates than actual combat wounds. Winegard's point is clear. If you want to understand why battles were lost and empires crumbled, you must take into account the mosquito's role. Armies couldn't fight if their ranks were decimated by disease, and the mosquito didn't discriminate. No matter how well-funded or well-trained, armies fell to its sting. Leaders like Napoleon, Alexander the Great, and Genghis Khan may have been known for their military prowess, but they were ultimately at the mercy of the mosquito. Core Concept 3: The mosquito's impact on colonization and slavery. The book also dives deep into the mosquito's role in shaping global colonization and the Atlantic slave trade. One of Winegard's fascinating arguments is that the mosquito's influence extended to the forced migration of people through slavery. European colonizers, particularly in tropical regions like the Caribbean and South America, found themselves in mosquito-infested lands where their soldiers and settlers succumbed to diseases like malaria and yellow fever. However, Africans brought to the Americas as slaves had a greater degree of immunity to these diseases due to their genetic resistance to malaria, thanks to the presence of the sickle cell trait. This genetic advantage made Africans more desirable as a labor force, contributing to the rapid expansion of the transatlantic slave trade. European colonizers relied on African slaves to maintain plantations and extract resources because they could withstand the harsh conditions and diseases that killed Europeans. Winegard makes a provocative point here. The mosquito not only shaped the slave trade but also influenced the success and wealth of European empires. The wealth generated by slave labor in mosquito-ridden colonies fueled European economic power for centuries, altering the global balance of power. Core Concept 4: The Role of Mosquitoes in Modern Times. The mosquito's influence didn't end with the fall of empires or the abolition of slavery. Winegard draws our attention to the ongoing impact of mosquito-borne diseases on global health and economic development. Malaria and dengue fever remain significant problems in many parts of the world, particularly in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Winegard provides chilling statistics. Malaria kills approximately 400,000 people every year, with the majority of deaths occurring in Africa. The mosquito's influence on poverty and economic stagnation in these regions cannot be overstated. Countries that suffer from endemic mosquito-borne diseases often struggle to build infrastructure, maintain public health systems, and create stable economies. In this way, the mosquito continues to be a major factor in global inequality. However, modern science and technology offer hope. Winegard discusses the efforts to combat mosquito-borne diseases through vaccines, insecticides, and genetic engineering. Yet he cautions that despite these advances, the mosquito remains a formidable adversary. The mosquito has shown a remarkable ability to adapt to efforts to control it, developing resistance to insecticides and continuing to spread diseases in new areas due to climate change. Core Concept 5: Climate Change and the Mosquito's Expanding Reach. One of the most alarming sections of the mosquito is its exploration of how climate change is expanding the mosquito's territory. As global temperatures rise, mosquitoes are thriving in areas where they previously couldn't survive, including parts of Europe and North America. This creates new challenges for public health as diseases like malaria, dengue, and Zika virus spread to regions that are ill-prepared to deal with them. Winegard's message is clear: the mosquito is not just a relic of history but an ongoing threat to human health and survival. The future of the mosquito is tied to our planet's future. If we don't take action to mitigate climate change and control mosquito populations, we may face new pandemics that could reshape our world yet again. Core Concept 6: Humanity's Ongoing Battle. Finally, the mosquito serves as a reminder that humanity's battle with the mosquito is far from over. Throughout history, we've been reactive rather than proactive in addressing the threat posed by mosquitoes. Whether it was the construction of the Panama Canal, the building of colonial outposts, or modern urbanization, our efforts to expand and modernize have often been hindered by mosquito-borne diseases. Today, we have better tools at our disposal: vaccines, genetic modification, and advanced public health strategies. But as Winegard warns, the mosquito's adaptability means that we must remain vigilant. The mosquito has outlasted empires, defeated generals, and influenced the course of human history in ways we are only beginning to understand. Our challenge now is to ensure that we don't repeat the mistakes of the past, and that we continue to innovate in our efforts to control this tiny but mighty force. Why the Mosquito Matters. At its core, The Mosquito is a book about how small things can have massive impacts. It's about recognizing the hidden forces that have shaped our world and understanding that the most significant threats aren't always visible or grand in scale. Winegard's exploration of how this tiny insect has influenced wars, colonization, slavery, and global health provides valuable lessons for today's world. For anyone interested in history, public health, or global inequality, The Mosquito is a must-read. It challenges us to reconsider what we know about the past and prompts us to think critically about the challenges we face today and in the future. The story of the mosquito is, in many ways, the story of humanity itself, one of survival, adaptation, and resilience in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. This book offers a unique perspective on how something as small as a mosquito can wield immense power, shaping our past and influencing our future. Understanding this is key to tackling the challenges ahead. Please subscribe for more.